Comics Recapped here. Today I'm going to explain a comic called House of M. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. Wanda pushed, and out came her twins. Wanda rejoiced along with her husband Vision. Charles Xavier suddenly entered the room. "Put it back, Wanda!" Professor X screamed. Wanda tried reasoning with the professor by showing him her babies. The professor told Wanda that they weren't real, that she could never bear a child. Wanda went frantic. She couldn't accept the fact that she killed her husband and the Avengers. Back to the present, Eric was talking with Charles. Charles told Eric that Wanda was sleeping. Eric apologized for everything that had happened. He risked everything for his war against the humans, including his children. All Eric's risks were for nothing as he lost this battle and his children's chance at a good life. In New York, Miss Marvel, Falcon, and Wonder Man entered the Avengers Tower for a meeting. As they arrived, so did the X-Men. The meeting was spearheaded by Charles Xavier. It was a meeting between the Avengers and the X-Men to discuss what they should do to Wanda. Meanwhile, Pietro, Wanda's brother, told Eric that a meeting was held in the Avengers Tower discussing Wanda. Pietro stressed that the Avengers and the X-Men were likely to kill his sister. Eric told Pietro that they should just accept whatever the outcome will have. Pietro begged his father to do something. He wanted his father to protect his sister. Inside the meeting, the X-Men wanted Wanda killed, but the Avengers disagreed since Wanda was an Avenger also. Captain America told them there is always another way. Emma Frost asked Professor X and Doctor Strange if both had already done all they could to help Wanda. Both men said yes. Both sides continued to argue. Janet ultimately told everybody that they should just ask Wanda herself. Since Janet was a close friend of Wanda, she should just talk to her first before deciding anything. Everybody agreed. Everyone went to Genosha, where Wanda was. To their surprise, Wanda wasn't there. They searched the perimeter but couldn't find her. Professor X and Doctor Strange told them they could not sense Wanda anymore. The group had a bad feeling about the situation and left. Emma Frost told them she found them. Everybody followed her. Emma led them to a rundown abandoned building. Spider-Man entered and immediately saw a bright light floating in the room. In the Bronx, an old Steven Rogers walks on the street to get his mail. Meanwhile, in Connecticut, Scott Summers was making breakfast for his wife, Emma. They had a small talk over coffee and toast. Emma said she needed to go since she had work. In Los Angeles, Simon Williams was being interviewed on a morning show. The reporter asked Simon about Carol Danvers. Simon just smiled and told the reporter that Carol was an exceptional girl. Miss Marvel was currently handling a police chase. Miss Marvel stopped the runaway car and threw it in the park. Miss Marvel subdued the criminals, and the police closed in. In Cincinnati, Kitty asked her mutant students who the first mutant was. A student raised her hand and answered Namor, which was correct. However, in Hell's Kitchen, New York, Luke Cage was visited by a detective. The detective asked Cage what his involvement was in the beating of Wilson Fisk. Cage denied any involvement and told the detective he was sleeping when it happened. Meanwhile, Doctor Strange was handling a psychiatric patient with hallucinations of a black wall. The patient was having trouble with his grip on reality. In Russia, Colossus was plowing a field using a large rake. Meanwhile, Dr. McCoy talked to Dr. Pym in a lab in Chicago. Dr. Pym wanted to separate and identify the mutant gene, which Dr. McCoy said was impossible. Dr. McCoy also insisted that Tony Stark would not be happy if he found out what Dr. Pym was trying to achieve. Dr. McCoy urged Dr. Pym to stop this research, since it might lead him getting fired. In Paris, France, Aurora was trying out a dress Janet made. Unfortunately, the dress was too tight for Aurora. Wolverine woke up from a nightmare. He was surprised to see Mystic on his bed, so he shoved her out of the way and stormed outside the room. James suddenly had flashes of memories like his allegiance with Captain America, the experiments done on him, his fight with the Hulk, his encounter with Jean Grey, the battle with Wanda, and when they went to Genosha to confront Wanda. James remembered everything. Mystic caught up to him confused. James kept asking what happened yesterday and to Genosha. Mystic was puzzled, saying their mission was successful yesterday. James jumped off the building, and when he landed on the ground, he took a motorbike from a civilian and went to Salem Center. James crept inside the house and woke the man sleeping in the bedroom. "Where is Charles Xavier?" said James. The man was confused, saying he did not know and that he'd been living there for 15 years. James let the man go and went to a payphone to find a listing of Xavier, but was unable to. James went to the Avengers Tower in New York looking for Tony Stark. The receptionist told James that Tony was not there, and instead, the SHIELD's Red Guard unit appeared. The Red Guard unit was led by James initially, but now they are to capture him since he has been acting strange. James refused and elbowed Agent Drew. Everyone opened fire on him, but he managed to jump out of a window and go into the streets. James rode his motorbike, but Nightcrawler was behind him. Nightcrawler was suddenly shot with arrows, and James was sucked in by Cloak, transporting him to Hell's Kitchen. In Hell's Kitchen, James was surrounded. Hawkeye demanded he remove the tracker behind his neck. When James didn't, Hawkeye shot the tracker off him, causing James to collapse. Luke told Clint he should not have shot James. In 30 seconds, James woke up, but the Red Army had already found them and destroyed the roof of their hideout. The Cloak was able to grab most of them and transport them to Wilson Fisk's office. Luke was angry that some of his crew were left. James started talking and told Luke that he was an Avenger. James explained that he was a member of the X-Men, and in his reality, the mutants were the minority. James told them that Magnus and his children were a problem, especially Wanda. To James's surprise, Hawkeye told him that Wanda was human. James told them that Wanda was also an Avenger and that she was able to manipulate reality. James added that Wanda had been the reason the original Avengers quit. James told them that the X-Men and the Avengers had a meeting 2 days ago. He explained that this meeting was to discuss what to do with Wanda. But when they headed to Genosha where Wanda was, the place turned white, and James woke up to a world where Magnus and mutants ruled. Hawkeye asked James what he was in his reality. James told him Wanda killed him months ago. James asked what the group did, and Luke replied saying they helped humans get their fair share in this world. Some of them were skeptical of James, but to their surprise, James knew all of them and their abilities. Luke told James that he believed him and pointed to a girl in the corner of the room. Luke said this girl walked into their store and told them what James had just said earlier. Luke also had flashes of strange memories that he didn't understand. James approached the girl. She was Layla. Layla explains that she lived in Hell's Kitchen, and when she woke up, the world was different. James suddenly had a revelation. He remembered all of his memories, which he always wanted. It would mean Magnus made Wanda give everybody what they wanted. This would result in Magnus having what he wanted. The group went to Connecticut, inside Emma's house. James told Layla to do it. Layla was confused as she did not understand what James meant. James told her that she remembers everything because she was a mutant. Emma Frost arrived home. She thought she was being robbed. James told her to read their minds. Emma remembered everything and was hellbent on killing Magnus when she did. Emma entered Layla's mind, where she said she had the unique ability to unlock a person's subconscious, making them remember everything. Emma also told her that she was a key piece for them to get reality back to normal. Scott entered the house, and Emma made Layla use her powers on him. Scott remembered everything, and James filled him in on the recent happenings. The group decided to get Peter Parker. They found him with his child Richie and his wife Gwen. Layla used her powers on Peter. Peter fell on the floor as his memories burst through his mind. Peter laughed. James followed him. Peter wept as he remembered everything. Peter got his act together and promised to kill Magnus and Wanda. The group went to recruit nearby superheroes and return their memories. They went to Ohio to get Kitty, to New York for Doctor Strange and Daredevil, to Washington for Carol, and Chicago for Tony. They went to the Bronx but saw Steve Rogers was already an old man, so the group decided to leave him out of this. The group held a meeting. Emma told them Magnus likely convinced Wanda to turn the world in his image and coerced Xavier to give all of them their heart's desire. This would allow them to live in Magnus's world peacefully. Everybody agreed except Hawkeye, who remained skeptical. Suddenly, the wall collapsed, and the Red Army attacked. A battle ensued as Cyclops fired his lasers while Nightcrawler jumped in between spaces. Layla used her powers on every SHIELD member. It stopped the fight. The SHIELD remembered everything. The group noticed Hawkeye was gone, but they decided to pay him no interest. Rogue touched Layla and learned that she was not human and had not felt power like hers before. James butted in and told them their plan was to go to Magnus and find Xavier. In Genosha, Magnus told Lorna that Victor Von Doom would be arriving soon. Meanwhile, the group rode on the helicarrier, thanks to Agent Drew. Emma used her powers on the guards' minds to conceal their presence and went to the command deck. Emma entered the mind of Captain Greycrow to manipulate him to change the course of the helicarrier to Genosha. In Genosha, Victor Von Doom arrived and was greeted by Magnus. Meanwhile, in the helicarrier, the group was inside the cafeteria. Scott told everybody that their upcoming fight would be the biggest they've ever fought. He told everybody to fight with no restraints and go all out. Spider-Man interrupted Scott and asked if it was still possible to turn everything back to normal. Emma answered him, saying they'll know when they get there. Kitty was skeptical, as she thought the world might be a better place if it stayed like Magnus's world. Jessica added that Kitty was right. The world they left was not better than the world they had. Jessica said that no one was being hurt, and everybody got what they wanted, so why should they turn the world back to normal? Emma kept telling them that they had to try to get things back to normal and find Xavier. The helicarrier landed on Genosha, where a celebration was happening. Their special guests, T'Challa, Ororo, Victor Von Doom, Ganis Vel, and Namor were introduced. Scott told them to split into 3 teams and assumed the enemy knew they were coming. The plan was to find Xavier and get Layla to use her powers on him, and Doctor Strange was to confront Wanda on the astral field. The House of Magnus was introduced when a giant Iron Man suit was thrown at them, and James and his group came out of it, ambushing them. A battle happened with everyone throwing haymakers at each other. Scott saw Magnus and fired a laser toward him, throwing him outside the platform. The platform was destroyed because of the fight's intensity. Meanwhile, Cloak took Emma and Layla to a tomb with Xavier's name. Emma was crushed. She thought Xavier was dead, but Cloak looked inside the tomb. There was no body. Xavier was not there. The fight continued, and Rogue kept stealing powers from her opponents. Lorna held a magnetic field to protect her siblings and told Pietro to get Wanda out of the battlefield. A surprised Pietro saw Wanda was disintegrating, and before he knew it, Rogue appeared and shoved him off a cliff. Meanwhile, Doctor Strange went to Wanda's bedroom and saw her there. They talked, and Wanda explained the disintegrating body was not her real body. It was a dummy. She told Doctor Strange she never left her children. That's why she created the dummy. Wanda asked why Doctor Strange was in Genosha. Doctor Strange replied that she brought them there through Layla, whom she made. Wanda was unaware of it. Doctor Strange told her that her friends were fighting outside because of her. Wanda said nobody should be fighting because she did all of this to stop the fighting. Doctor Strange asked Wanda what Magnus did to her. Wanda told him Magnus saved her. Wanda showed Doctor Strange what happened that day in Genosha. Wanda woke up from Pietro's screaming. Pietro went to her and told her everyone was coming to kill her. Wanda accepted her fate and decided not to fight, but Pietro didn't. He convinced Wanda to use her powers to give everybody what they wanted. They would be a family, their friends would be happy, and Magnus would get what he wanted. Doctor Strange was surprised. It wasn't Magnus, it was Pietro. Doctor Strange contacted Emma. Emma told him to ask Wanda where Xavier was, but before Wanda could answer, Hawkeye struck her with an arrow. Hawkeye was angry that Wanda killed him since they were a team. Wanda's child screamed, and suddenly, Hawkeye disintegrated in thin air. Coincidentally, Magnus appeared before Emma and Layla. Pietro ran at full speed on the battlefield, punching every opponent. Suddenly, Magnus appeared enraged. He had remembered everything. He went on a rampage attacking Pietro. Magnus did not want any of this, and Pietro did all of this while using Magnus's name. Wanda appeared and stopped Magnus. Wanda wept as she had already given Magnus what he wanted, and he still wasn't happy. Wanda was angry. Magnus kept choosing his dreams over his children. After a pause, Wanda said no more mutants, and a white light flashed. Everyone woke up and was in Avengers Tower. The Avengers held a meeting. Everybody was dejected as they felt they were lost. They remembered everything, but were unsure if things were back to normal. But Doctor Strange appeared battered, telling them it wasn't. Emma woke up in Xavier's school. It was chaotic. Much to her horror, the students were collapsing and losing their powers. Emma and the others tried to calm everybody down. Surprisingly, Nightcrawler still had his powers, so he decided to check on James. He found him on a field lying face down. When he woke up, James said he remembered everything. Emma went inside Cerebro to locate the mutants all over the world. To her surprise, no mutants were detected. Emma also could not find Wanda or Xavier. The students were weeping. They were losing their powers. Surprisingly, Danny and Colossus forgot about what happened with Wanda. Bobby also appeared and seemed to have lost his powers. A flash news happened. The White House's secretary appeared and told them that the mutant gene had disappeared from the mutants. He said that every scientific agency was working on finding out the cause behind it. The secretary also denied any rumors that the government was involved in the occurrence. The Avengers were listening to the news. Iron Man and Captain America could not remember what had happened. Doctor Strange explains that those protected by Emma and his magic were the only ones who could remember. Doctor Strange also told them that he could not locate Wanda no matter what he tried. The Avengers thought of what to do when someone suddenly entered the mansion. They went there and saw a robe pinned to the wall using arrows and a newspaper clip beside it that read, "Hawkeye dead." In Genosha, the remaining mutants arrived to confront Magnus. Wolverine jumped on him and asked him where his children and Xavier were, while pointing his claws at his neck. Magnus repeatedly said that he had no idea. Kitty convinced Wolverine to let him go as he didn't cause this. The X-Men left and continued searching. Dr. Pym appeared on TV. Coincidentally, Wanda was blending with society, hidden from everybody. Dr. Pym said this occurrence could affect every aspect of the world's economy and halt its evolution. Dr. Pym emphasized that they don't know how many mutants contributed to their energy supply, affected the atmosphere, or held their magnetic fields. The effect of this occurrence would surely be felt by everybody. Whether this occurrence will help the world or destroy it, only time will tell.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications. And leave a like, it really helps the channel out. Thank you for watching.